Ladies and gentlemen of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, 3 years ago this week, representatives of our several governments signed the treaty that set up this organization. Sometime later, recognizing the special situation of Western Europe in their purpose of maintaining security of the Western world, they decided to place the forces already raised under a single command, and so SHAPE was born. 1 year ago today, this headquarters assumed operational command of the troops actually stationed in Europe for the defense of this great area. Now, the purpose of our governments was a very simple one: to retain the peace through establishing a sound collective security. This purpose was in complete conformity with the spirit and intent of the United Nations Organization, a regional pact to maintain the peace. Now, the organization of all of these independent countries to establish a military organization was, of course, a rather complicated sort of thing to do. They had many tasks to achieve before their objectives could be attained. Now, as we proceed along the path toward the attainment of objectives that reach into our spiritual, our economic, and our military activity, progress sometimes seems distressingly slow. Only this week, my staff and I have prepared a report on the progress we have achieved, and one of its purposes will be to fight any discouragement that might come about from the realization that objectives are still a long way off on the horizon, by glancing briefly over our shoulders to see how far we have come. As in all things human, this report will be neither wholly white nor wholly black. We have had our discouragements just as we have had our important advancements. On the discouraging side, for example, we have had the strained economies of Europe developing and threatening some slowing up of previously predicted schedules. We know that in spite of the expenditure of vast sums of money in the United States and elsewhere, the flow of equipment has not been as rapid as previously predicted. We have had Indochina, Korea, Malaya, all sore spots in the world, and each with its terrific and direct impact upon our efforts here. But the countries of Europe that feel they have a duty to the free world to carry on those struggles are doing it just as is the United States in Korea, with its allies and detachments from so many different countries. Now, on the encouraging side, there has been almost a revolutionary rise in the morale of the armed forces. Their training is efficient, directed by some of the most experienced soldiers, sailors, and airmen alive today. In each case, in each unit, there is a growing confidence that they can do their job, do the job that they have been given by our United Nations. There has been the accretion of Greece and of Turkey to our organization, two sturdy nations adhering to our treaty in the full spirit, the full determination and confidence that the others have shown. There has been also in recent months a sudden and rapid upswing in the rate of munitions delivery. As the gigantic production machines of the civilized world have gotten into the swing of deliveries, munitions are beginning to flow, and there will be a rapid increase in the speed with which units are produced upon the fields of Western Europe. A very important, possibly the most important development of this last year has been the growing realization in Western Europe that its security, its peace, its future lies in a closer union among the several nations of this part of the continent. And so we've had the Schumann Plan soon to go into operation. We have had developed the European Defense Organization, an army designed to bring in Germany into the Western Defense Organization under conditions of substantial equality and of self-respect, but in such a way as not to arouse again the fears and trepidations of the other nations of Western Europe. That treaty, setting up that kind of an army, is soon to be signed. But along with it, we have the great prospect of real peace with Western Germany and a solidified organism here that will be a great tower of strength instead of continuing weakness and setbacks due to economic distress. We here at SHAPE, an organization made up of many nations, deal with these questions day by day. I assure you, there is no doubt in our mind that you, the people of the United Nations Organization, can do this job. Of course you can do it. It is merely a matter of self-confidence, the unity that comes about through realizing that the enlightened self-interest of each of us is tied up in the whole success of collective security, optimism, faith, and finally tenacity. Tenacity. Ladies and gentlemen of all the nations of the Atlantic community, 3 years ago this week, representatives of our several nations signed the treaty that set up NATO. And Malaya, NATO nations of Europe and in America are carrying very heavy burdens, burdens that are costly both in blood and in treasure. They have a direct effect upon our efforts here to establish a secure defensive arrangement in Western Europe. The first encouraging factor has been the accretion of Turkey and Greece to our organization. These two sturdy, self-reliant nations have joined us in the same spirit that others have displayed to maintain peace through development of a collective security organization. At last, ladies and gentlemen, the great productive machinery of the Western world is beginning to roll. Equipment is being produced at a much faster rate than has been the case over the past many months. It is to be anticipated that this will encourage and allow speed up in the organization of military units. A very important, possibly the most important single encouraging factor of the past year has been the progress toward centralization and unification in Western Europe. We have had the Schumann Plan, soon to go into operation. We have had evidence of the nations trying to get together through agriculture and electric power and similar types of economic activity. Finally, we have the European Defense Force, an arrangement whereby German strength can be brought in to the Western Security Organization with full status of respectability for Germany and without endangering the peace of Western Europe. We are being bound together in a single economic, political whole to make the peace of this region secure and safe. We here at SHAPE, representatives of many nations, work day by day, constantly, with these intricate and difficult problems. We have absolute faith that you can do the job. Of course you can do the job. All that is necessary is that each country remember that its own enlightened self-interest is served best by developing the common security so necessary to its all. The task incident to it must have first priority. We require faith, self-confidence, devotion, tenacity, always tenacity.